Welcome to the French Drain Man channel. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and I want to teach you guys how to build a roof runoff system that'll keep out the roots. We just tore out a roof runoff system. It shouldn't have to have been, but unfortunately, an indoor concept was used outdoors, which we preach against all the time. So I see this all the time. The guys said, hey, why don't you take this piece of pipe plugged full solid of roots and explain to everybody how it happened, why it happens, and how to avoid it. So that's why I'm doing this. The guys actually brought this into me, and I'm not kidding you. They cut this out, brought it back to our yard, and said, hey, we see this all the time. You haven't made a video about it. You need to tell people what we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing to keep out the tree roots. Stay tuned. All right, let's take a look at the piece of drainage system that the guys cut out. So you can see that the tree roots just filled the drain system. This is a roof runoff system. I'm going to explain to you how the roots found their way into this system. I'm going to explain to you how to avoid it. This happened during the removal. We had to completely rip out an underground downspout system and replace it. So somebody's hard-earned money was just wasted. So they took the Sawzall, they just cut the pipe. They had to cut it out in pieces, but as you can see, it's just full of root. You're not jetting that out. It's just full solid of roots. We see this all the time. I'm going to explain to you why this happens, how it happens, and how you can avoid it. I'm going to take you on a job installation showing you the correct way, but first let's go through all the different things that bring this on. What happens when you don't build your system to deal with the tree roots and shrub roots? So this underground downspout system, it had a lot of joints, a lot of connections, and that's where the roots got in. We broke it pulling this out of the ground. We cut this with our Sawzall. So you can just see it's just full solid with roots. You're not going to jet this out. What happens, the roots get in right at the joints, right at the connections. Look at this. Look how big that root is that we had to cut. So you're not jetting this out. This system, there's nothing more you can do for a system like this when the roots fill it, with the exception of rip it out and replace it. So I'm going to show you how to build a roof runoff system to keep the roots out. You don't want your hard-earned money and your sweat equity to be all for nothing. Now, if you do your research and you look at all your options, you have options. There's options. These different materials have proven to be far superior for different things. I'm going to show you how to build a system using one of those options to where you're not going to have to deal with the tree roots. So you're not paying for a jetting, or in this case, you're not paying for an entire roof runoff system to be done again. You want to minimize these connections. You have a lot of movement when it comes to soil. When soil dries, it shrinks and it pulls on our roof runoff systems. It pulls them all over the place. And I don't care how much glue you put on them, if it's a system that requires glue, when the dirt shrinks and you go into the drought season and then you go back to where the soils really swell up because it's the rainy season, the freeze and thaw and drought, that's what's hard on rigid pipe. Freeze and thaw moves it around, and drought, the soil shrinks. Indoors, you have control over the environment. You can hang a system from hangers. You can hang them from a joist on a structure that's built with footings. But what do you do when you're outdoors? I'm going to show you. All right, let's bounce to one of the job sites so I can show you guys exactly how to do a buried underground downspout system. All right, we got a clean out right here. And then we're tied to our High-octane. It's the strongest single wall pipe in the world. The Royal Blue High-octane. So FDM's High-octane, manufactured by the Boffman Tile Company. It's stronger than any other single wall pipe in the world. Notice how once we tile tape it right to the clean out, so we have our clean out assembly, which is great. We can take a shop vac and suck out any leaves that might end up, you know, trapped down in there. But I love a one piece like this. Look at this. The guys, they tile tape this, and look at this one piece. There's some dirt right there that they put down just to keep that down in the trench. They have this at the perfect pitch under a sprinkler line right there. Didn't even disturb these roses. We're right up against the sidewalk. Then we veer underneath the fence. We're going to tie a second drop into this line. So Francisco's putting in a D box. He's going to have these go to a D box, and then another one piece, no fittings, no glue joints. We're going to run that all the way to a pop-up with a turf restrictor plate. We're going to have one piece connected to this pop-up. It's going to go underneath the walkway, and it's going to connect into the D-box. D-box is short for distribution box. I get asked that a lot in my videos. And again, one piece, one long piece of pipe. No glue joints, no fittings. One long run, a continuous pipe at 1% slope. Beautiful. Now, here in the north, the winter's going to freeze the ground and heave it. Then it's going to thaw and come down. We have this repeated freeze and thaw cycle throughout the winter. Every time we have a warm-up, we thaw, then we go back to freeze. It just tears up a rigid pipe. So that's why we won't use a rigid pipe. Anywhere in the world, I'd use this pipe. It's the thickest single wall pipe in the world. It's the heaviest single wall pipe in the world. By design, the way it's engineered is so strong. I like tying in a couple downspouts on a line. You're going to keep it moving. You're going to keep that water moving. Pounds per square inch is what clears leaves and shingle gravel from a downspout. The fact that we don't have a bunch of glue joints that'll just come apart during the freeze and thaw, if we were using a rigid pipe and we weren't using the FDM's High-octane, those glue joints, they end up cracking when the ground goes up and down. They crack right at the fittings. Then dirt ends up migrating into the system, starts to undermine a part of your yard. You end up with sinkholes. You're wondering, where are these sinkholes from? And it's from your roof runoff system. This one-piece method of running the High-octane, this tip is going to save you so much headache, and you're going to get years and years of great service. You're going to get a lifetime of great service out of your roof runoff system. So you can see Francisco's going to run one piece from the D-box. He's going to go underneath the walkway. He's going to have one piece all the way out to the pop-up. This minimizes the chance of tree roots getting inside this pipe. It makes it impossible for tree roots to get inside this pipe, because they're only going to find their way inside this pipe if there's a fitting. If there's a fitting and you didn't tile tape it up real good. But when you have no fittings, no joints, it's impossible for a tree to get inside this pipe. It just can't do it. It's not possible. Tree roots cannot get in it. So the technique we're showing you, landscape, shrubs, and trees are not going to cause any disruption to the flow of your water. The roots are going to stay on the outside of the pipe, and they're not going to find their way inside of the pipe. What's nice is you can go underneath sprinklers, you can go underneath a fence, you can run it down with your 1% slope, go under the walk. Now notice what they did over here. I want to show you this because, you know, these guys, they don't miss a beat. So they have a real nice trench here, 1% slope. 1% slope, beautiful trench. Do you notice what they did here at the walkway? You notice how it don't go down and up, because that would form a belly. You have to dig out enough dirt, a pile of dirt, so that when you come out, you just keep that 1% slope going. Sloped the trench perfectly and kept it sloped. And we stayed really tight to the top of the concrete to do this. But this is textbook. What the guys are doing here is really, really textbook. Doing a really, really nice job running this long run for a roof runoff system that's going to be controlling a lot of water and minimizing the amount of connection. No tree roots, no dirt infiltration. The pipe's going to flow water. It's going to be ready each and every time we have a thunderstorm. This is a system that I don't have to worry about. Everything's been done right. There's no liabilities left behind. The only way this pipe fails is if the installer who installed it, if he failed. A quality pipe like this is only as good as its installer. And I think if you follow these few simple rules, you know, just keep a flat bottom on your trench. Don't leave any bellies. All right, so let's go back to the beginning. Let's take a look at this PVC tear out. This job where the pipe that had all those roots in it, we had to replace every downspout on this house. They were all just absolutely destroyed for one reason or another. This was the actual downspout that was full of roots. I didn't know it at the time that I shot this. That's why I don't have that much on it at this point. I didn't expect to do this video. My guys brought the pipe to me and said, do this video, and I thank them for that. The best way I know how to describe this is a baseball. Let's just look at a baseball. It can be, you know, hit out of the park, right? And the baseball itself is fine. But if it was a wooden ball, or if it was a PVC ball, it would crack. See my point? Look at these turf restrictor plates. That's the other thing you want to take care of. Make sure the grass doesn't grow over the discharge area. Always use a turf restrictor plate like that to prevent that from happening. All right, let's get you back to that install and let's finish it up. Always unroll the pipe, pull it straight, and then feed it under the walk. We now have a one-piece discharge line from the D box, which is short for distribution box, from the D box all the way to our pop-up emitter with the turf restrictor plate. No fittings, no glue joints. We have a pipe by design where the flexibility is its strength. The fact that it's not rigid means that this pipe can put up with a lot. The ground can shift and it can move here in the north, and it is not going to bother this pipe one bit. The fact that it's a virgin material means it's going to last forever because it's rated for 200 to 500 years. Lifetimes. People say, why is your pipe blue? It's because it's a pure virgin material. No regrind. What regrind is all your recycled food containers. That's regrind. Makes the pipe really soft, makes it really weak. It has no strength compared to the virgin pipe. Now let's do a quick recap. Corrugated pipe is very flexible. The freeze and thaw cycle can just really have its way with it. It's not going to crack. So when water comes down a downspout, it picks up speed. It's picking up velocity as it falls. Once it goes into the underground system, if you can keep 1% slope, that's going to help keep up the velocity. All that water is just going to create pounds per square inch, PSI, just pushing any shingle, gravel, and leaves out. Now, at some point, you lose momentum. This is a great time to put a D-box in so that any leaves or shingle gravel fall in the D-box. On a long run like this, you want a D-box. I'll show you what the inside of the D-box looks like. So it's literally just a break in the line. The water is going to continue to flow. That ain't going to be an issue. It's not going to be a disruption. But all the leaves and shingle gravel will fall to the bottom of this basin. You can take your shop vac and just suck that out and then put this lid back on. Super easy. Now you can sleep well at night. When the forecast is calling for thunderstorms, 2 to 3 inches of rain, flash flooding, you're fine because you went ahead and you checked all your D boxes, you took those covers off, you cleaned them out, you're ready, bring it. All right, now during the drought season, the ground can shrink and it's not going to hurt this pipe. It's basically 2 pieces. The D box is the midway point. You can't hurt this pipe. This pipe is strong, it's indestructible. Its flexibility is its strength. If you minimize your connections, and when you do have a connection, use a good PVC tape and seal up that fitting, that connection. If you use an internal coupler and you have to tape that connection, that's okay, because the roots are not going to get past the FDM 200-year tape. The roots cannot get past it. It's better than any glue joint. So you take an indestructible pipe, and where you have to make connections, use a 200-year PVC tape. All right, everybody, until that next video. French Drain Man is the leader in indoor and outdoor sump pump systems, protecting your family against mold and mildew, as well as flood protection. The industry leaders and innovators.